Right, awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you all for coming. I'm very excited to be here with you all tonight. So I wanted to start out by saying if anyone has any physical limitations, such as like shoulder issues, or they can't move a certain direction, or they shouldn't be putting a lot of pressure on their lower back, go ahead and tell me in the chat just so I can be aware of it. And if anyone ever has any questions, can't hear what I'm saying, feel free to speak up, throw something in the chat. I want to make sure that everyone is getting a good experience out of this. So what we're going to start with is this is going to be a workout kind of geared towards getting a mild workout in and finishing off and putting a lot of emphasis on helping your mobility and also stretching yourself to reduce a lot of postural imbalances that can end up getting developed over the day of just sitting. So what we're going to start with is we are going to do some dynamic stretches. So what these stretches are for is at the beginning of any workout, I should scoot back so you can see me. At the beginning of any workout, you want to do stretches that are going to be moving a little bit more so than static. It'll just help loosen up your joints a little better, and it'll prevent you from getting some injuries. So just since we're at home, what we're going to start with is we're going to start with some hip circles. We're going to take our leg, we're going to take our right leg first, and we're just going to put it out, we're just going to move it in front of us. Since you're standing on one leg, be sure to be near a surface where you can kind of catch yourself if your balance isn't so great. We don't want anyone falling and hurting themselves. So we're just going to circle around with our leg, put it out, go clockwise, turn it around, go counterclockwise for a little bit. We're just going to do this for another couple seconds. Now we're going to switch our legs, so do our left leg, put it out in front of us. Just do some circles. This is just opening up our hips, kind of getting us used to moving in a couple different directions. Now we're going to turn it around and go the other way. All right, and now we're going to do the same thing with our arms. We're going to get our shoulders going. So we're going to put our arms out, and we're going to do these little tiny circles as if you're painting just a little circle on the wall on each side. We're going to go forwards for a little bit, small little circles. Now we're going to switch to the other direction, go backwards instead of forwards or forwards instead of backwards, whatever works for you. Doesn't matter the direction, we're just starting to get loose. Now we're going to do some bigger circles. If anything ever feels bad or a little bit painful, or you think you're pushing yourself a little bit far, just do a little bit less of it and it'll be okay. This is all geared towards mobility, and mobility will be worked best if you are in your comfort range. So let's go the other direction for our shoulders. Alrighty, this is just warming us up so we don't end up injuring ourselves at all if we're doing an at-home workout. You can do these at a gym as well. These are always great. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our legs. We're going to take our right leg and we're going to swing it back and forth. Again, be sure to be near kind of surface where you won't hurt yourself if you fall or you can catch yourself. Just swing that leg back and forth. After a couple seconds of that, we're going to do the same leg. We're going to swing it side to side in front of us. This is a little bit harder. All right, and now we're going to do the same things with our other leg. We're going to do front and back. If you keep your leg a little straight, you'll feel a little bit of tension in your hamstrings. Mine are particularly tight because I've been sitting all day, so I really feel this. Now we're going to do side to side. All right, and now we're going to do something called hamstring scoops. So if you put your right leg out in front of you, touch it to the ground, keep it nice and straight. Take your same arm, so right leg, right arm. We're going to keep our legs, both of them straight, and we're going to go down as if we're scooping up some water. We're just going to follow the length of our leg. I'm feeling a really good stretch in my hamstring right behind my leg. I'm just going to scoop up, go back down, scoop up again. Every time I'm pushing myself to go a little bit lower, just a little bit more of a stretch. Nothing's painful. Now we're going to do that with our other leg. The goal of this is to keep our hamstrings getting stretched while not just sitting in a static position. All right, so after we've done that, we're going to do one more exercise, and this is going to start to get us into our workout. So what we're going to start with is a lunge with a twist. So we're going to work out our legs first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our left leg, we're going to step out in front of us. We're going to go into a lunging position. I'll do it diagonally so you can see that better. Left foot in front of me, I'm gonna kneel down into the ground. And so when I get here, my leg's at a 90-degree angle with the floor. My chest is upright, it's facing the wall. If I had a Superman logo, you could see it on my shirt. Then when I get to this point, I'm gonna twist my body to the side. So my left leg is out, so I'm gonna twist towards my left leg. Then I'm gonna push up from the ground using my front leg and my back leg. I'm gonna step right back to where I was. I'm gonna do the same thing with my right leg. I'm gonna go down, touch the ground. I'm gonna twist. So I'm again opening up my hip a little bit. This is also starting to work out my legs a little. Do the other side, left leg out, switching to the left side, twisting, go back. And we're gonna do this just a couple more times. The focus of this is not to do it extra fast, it's just to keep ourselves nice and controlled while we're doing this. Oh, okay. All right, so now we're gonna get into the actual workout portion. So what we're gonna start with is an exercise called the dead bug. So we're gonna lie on the ground, get nice and comfy with your floor. So what this is gonna do, we're gonna work out our core, and we're also gonna be working out on our balance and our proprioception. So like an awareness of where our arms and legs are. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lie flat on the ground like a dead bug, as the name would imply. We're gonna put our legs up with 90, lie on our back. Our legs are in the air at a 90-degree angle, just like we were with lunge. We're gonna put our hands up, pointing straight towards the ceiling. And what we're gonna do, I should have enough space for this. We're gonna take our left leg and our right arm. So these are opposing sides, and we're gonna extend them into a straight line with our body while keeping the rest nice and stable where they were. When you do this, you should feel your core starting to shake. Then bring them back and do the opposing sides again. So we're gonna do 20 of these. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now remember to keep and have these movements be nice and controlled. It doesn't matter if they're slow, it doesn't matter if they're fast. You'll even get a better workout if they are slow. So just focus on doing the opposite sides, being aware of where your body is. You should feel this in your core. If you get particularly tired while doing this, it's okay to stop and take a break. The point is to get a mild workout in and not overexert yourself too much. We're gonna go through a whole cycle of exercises and then come back to it. That way, when we finish this workout, you can do it on your own time and scale it to as long or as short as you need, fit it into good time periods. So back to the exercise. We're gonna do another 5 of these, aiming for a total of 20. All right. So next up, what we're gonna do is an exercise called the bird dog. So the bird dog is the exact same exercise as we just did, but instead we're upright. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get in a pose. All 4 of our legs are on the ground, so my knees are on the ground, my arms are on the ground. And we're gonna do the exact same thing we just did. And we're gonna put our left arm out with our right leg back. And what this is doing is this is a little bit harder than the last exercise because you're decreasing the base of support. So this is working more balance, and it's gonna help you be able to recover from imbalances and decrease your risk of falling. So I'm at 4. We're gonna do another 20 of these. Again, you can start or stop at any time if these are too hard or too easy for you. And at the same time, I'm also helping some mobility by activating my core while moving my body in many different directions. Is everyone doing okay with this?
Hey Noah, what would you suggest as a substitute if it's hard to get down on your hands and knees?
So if it's hard to get down on your hands and knees, especially with your shoulders because you're putting a lot of weight on it, I would just go back to what we were doing before. That way you're just on your back. You're not putting a lot of extra weight on any one joint, but it's all on that flat surface of your back. And it's gonna work the same muscles and it's gonna work the same movements. This one is just a little bit harder. So if ever you feel like something is a little bit harder or easier, feel free to just speak up. I'll try and make sure to throw them in between. But otherwise, we're gonna do another 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and now we're going to get into the best of exercises you can possibly do at home. We're gonna do what's called a goblet squat. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to move the camera up a little bit. We're going to need to see my whole body. So when you're doing a squat at home, this is one of the best exercises you can do for yourself because you're using your body weight. So you're going to be getting a lot of, load on your legs just from your normal body weight, and it's going to give you a lot of energy burning and cardio effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our feet about shoulder width apart. We're going to be standing straight up. And what we're going to do, we're going to pretend that we have a little bowl of soup right in the small of our back. And we're going to make sure to let that bowl fall. So when we're going down into a squatting position, that bowl we're trying to keep upright. So you should be able to see curve in my back going all the way down. We don't want to flatten our back like this. We want to keep it straight up, and that's going to help make sure that we have all the weight in the proper positions. And when we go down, we're going to try and keep that in focus. And when we start going down, it's okay if you can't go all the way down to this 90-degree angle that I'm at. Just do whatever feels comfortable and safe for your knees and your back. And when you're going down, try to focus on not only keeping your back in that position, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but keeping your back in that position and making sure that your knees don't go over your toes. It's okay if they do a little bit, but the goal is for it to only be a little bit so that we keep all the weight on our joints and not imbalanced, not just on our joints. That was incorrect. I was trying to come up with the right word there. All right, so we're gonna do 15 of these. If you're working out at home and you feel like these are pretty easy, then feel free to go ahead and just pick up something to hold right here. I am using a bottle of laundry detergent right now. This is fairly heavy. It's making it a little bit harder. If you want to get even more, you can hold a bigger object in front of you. I will use my bassoon case sometimes. That makes it significantly harder, getting significantly more of a workout. But notice when I'm doing these, I'm still keeping my back nice and curved, not rounded, but curved so that if you were to rest like a bowl of soup or something on, no soup would spill out. Nice and curved, making sure my knees aren't over my toes. Going down and up. And so once we've done 15 of these, go ahead and if you have a weight, put it aside. I think for the purpose of this workout, we're not going to make it any harder or easier or anything like that. If you wanted to, what you could do is you could practice doing little step ups. So if you have like a book or something, which I have right here, you could practice just doing little movements like this. You don't have to. That's just a little bit easier motion on your joints if you can't do a full squat. And next up, we're going to do a glute bridge. So this is one of the more fun exercises I like to do at home. So what we're going to do, I forgot I was going to do that. We're going to find a surface where you can get pretty close to the ground. You want to have your butt about 3 inches off the ground. Come on, camera, do better. You want to have your butt like 3 inches off the ground or so. Doesn't really matter. We're going to get into this position. We're going to put our legs at this pretty close to a 90-degree angle when I'm resting all of my weight on my arms. And what we're going to do is we're going to push up using our gluteus maximus, just like that. Just pushing straight up and back. If you feel like this is very easy for you, you could go ahead and lift up one leg and do it like that. Make sure to alternate your legs if you're going to do that. It's a little harder, but you don't necessarily have to. So when you're doing it with one leg, as I see a couple of people doing, it's easiest to just hold them static and go all the way down and up so that you're keeping the same load on your legs at all times, and then switch at the bottom and have it all the way out. So we're going to do 15 of these. So the nice thing about this is that this exercise, when you're in this static position, you're pulling your elbows and your arms and your shoulder blades down and back a little bit. That's going to prime you, first of all, to correct a couple postural imbalances. So if you're sitting at a computer typing or reading, it'll correct a little bit of that, but it's also going to prime you for the next exercise to have the proper positions for our scapulas. Oh, I love doing this one at home because it feels awkward to do in a gym. All right, so now, once we've done 15 of those, we're going to go to the next exercise, and this is going to be one that we're going to have to do a couple different progressions of, because it is significantly harder. Just trying to make sure it's set up right so you guys can see me well. All right. So since this is a full body workout circuit, it would not be complete if we did not work out our pecs, our shoulders, and our arms. So we're going to do the classic workout exercise that everyone knows. It's the push-up. So the thing is, as we get older or as we get weaker, it's hard to do a push-up. It's a lot of weight being put on your shoulders and on your chest, and it's not easy to do. So what we're going to start out with is a nice and easy progression. So actually, I'm going to take it even a step further back than normal. So I'm going to lean up against this countertop right here. And yeah, against this countertop right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as if I'm doing a push-up. So I'm moving my, how do I explain this well? It's hard with the camera. I'm trying to fix it. So in a normal push-up, you would have your scapula pulled down and back, and you would have your elbows at a 90-degree angle to your body. They would be flared out about 45 degrees from the side. That's the safest position for your shoulder to be in. And when you do that, you'll put your hands on whatever surface you're using the push-up on. So I'm using an elevated surface to decrease the amount of weight that I'm actually putting on my shoulders. So you can do this against a wall, you can do it against the surface, you can do it against the floor. Either way, it'll get slowly harder as you do it. So for now, we're gonna use a wall. I'm just gonna go down. My hands are about shoulder width apart. They're a little bit underneath where my shoulders are just because I'm doing it on a wall. When I put my hands on the wall, I feel a little bit of tension in my elbows, and ooh, burned myself making a tart earlier this week, and it is leaking now. That's really great. That's what I wanted from this workout. So you feel a little bit of tension on your forearms, but nothing too bad. So I'm gonna slowly lower myself into the wall, but I'm not gonna be putting so much weight that I won't be able to push back up. And at the same time, I'm not going too far into the wall where my body has to contort at all. I'm just doing a nice, slow and controlled movement. And back up. If that's really easy for you, then you can move on to a lower surface, such as this countertop, which is about a half foot lower than that. You can do the same thing. I'm still working out the same parts of my body. And if you were able to see, when I do this exercise, my shoulder is coming back just like this. My elbow is going to keep at about 45 degrees from my body. I'm going back and my shoulders are still pressed down and backwards. That's making sure that I don't put any excess strain on my rotator cuff, so I don't have any injuries there. It's always best to do something that's a little easier at first for a long time than something that's harder and accidentally hurt yourself. So we're gonna do, so while you're doing these workouts at home, whatever progression position you're in, whether you're against a wall, whether you're against the floor, the best way to do it is to keep a general rule of keeping about 3 more repetitions in the tank. So this would be 1 repetition. If I do that 10 times and I feel like I have about 2 left, I'm gonna go ahead and stop, and I'm not gonna overexert my muscles, and it'll leave a little bit more energy for me to do some other workouts, or exercises, not workouts. I'm not doing multiple workouts today. All right, so pick whatever surface you want, and we're just gonna do about 10 of these. You can stop or start whenever you feel like, but I am going to do these on the floor. If you feel like you want to do them on the floor, you can go ahead and get on your knees and progress down, walk your legs out, and just push up, down and back, just like you were doing on the wall. You don't have to go all the way down. You can just go a quarter if that's what feels best for you. And be sure to keep your shoulders back and down and your elbows in that good position, about shoulder width apart, 45 degrees from your chest. So just lower yourself down, back up. Don't overexert yourself. You should not feel any pressure on your shoulders.
Hey Noah, could they continue on the wall if they wanted to right now?
Yes, you could. Yeah, whatever position felt best for you. All right, so we're gonna do a couple of those. And then it's okay if you don't do exactly 10. We're basically just learning the exercises really fast. And then we're gonna do a full circuit of them where we go through them all. And that would be similar to what you could do at home, judging by how much time you have and don't have. The next exercise we're gonna do, we're gonna do something called a tricep dip. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find either a table, a chair, a couch, whatever works, but we're gonna make it so that you can lower yourself down onto the ground. This is a little tall for me, but it'll work. So what we're gonna do is a tricep dip. I'm gonna demonstrate it first. Don't get started on it quite yet. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lower ourselves with our triceps and back up. So what I want you to notice about when I'm doing this exercise is that my shoulders are in that exact same position as we were for the push-up and for that glute bridge we just did. So they're pulled back and down. My elbows, when I'm going down, they're making a nice 90-degree angle when I get to the bottom of the exercise. You do not have to go that far. That's gonna put a little bit of extra stress on your rotator cuff, but it's also gonna work your shoulders a lot. It'll also put a little bit of strain on your hands. So if you have any hand issues or have had surgeries recently, I would go ahead and skip this. But you can go down and back up. So when I'm doing this, my legs are further out. If this is hard for you, you can bring your legs in a little bit closer. So 90-degree angle. This is taking a lot of the weight off of my triceps, so they're not pushing as much of the weight as your body. Some of it's being held on your legs instead. If you want to make it harder, push your legs out. Or you could do something like add that weight. So that's gonna work really bad, so I'm not gonna do that. You can add a weight, go down, go up. So we're gonna do 10 of these. Does anyone have any questions about getting that position set up? Or any alterations to it with the voice crack? Okay, looks like a no from the chat. So we're gonna go ahead and do a couple of these. We're gonna do 8 of them for now, actually. So 1, 2, 3. My shoulders are down and back. My elbows are at a 45-degree angle at the bottom of this movement. Or not a 45-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. I have a chemical engineering degree and I can do math. I promise. All right, we're gonna do 3 more. 2, 3. And then that's it for that. So I said this was a no equipment exercise, but I partially lied. This is just a side note, really. If you have a bag or a backpack, anything with a handle on it. So I have a backpack here. I have that dishwasher detergent, gallon jug of milk will work. But what you can do after that exercise is you can work out your biceps by just doing simple curls with a light weight. I said this was a no equipment exercise, so I didn't actually include that in the workout portion. But when you're doing this on your own, it's always a good thing to do to work out an extra body part. However, we're gonna skip that. I just wanted you to know about it just for educational purposes. So 2 more exercises left. So,
hey Noah, we've got a question in the chat.
Oh, we do.
I'd like to know about breathing during these movements.
So during these movements, breathing is important. So when you're breathing during these movements, you can either choose, the specificity of breathing doesn't normally matter for workouts unless you're like a professional athlete, but you generally want to inhale or exhale when you're starting a movement. So like going down, you could exhale, going up, you could inhale, or vice versa. It doesn't matter too much either way, but the important thing is that you make sure you do breathe. If you don't breathe, your body will be converting basically glucose into carbon dioxide to make energy in your cells. And if that carbon dioxide builds up, it'll make you lightheaded, not able to breathe, pass out, or your muscles won't get enough oxygen. And because of that, they won't be able to finish the exercise and you can hurt yourself. So just make sure you breathe. It doesn't matter specifically, don't hold your breath. Just make sure you are breathing and not holding your breath. If that answered the question. It's very roundabout, but here we are. Okay.
How about mouth versus nose breathing?
Doesn't matter. If
Okay.
one's easier for you, you can do that. If one's not, don't do that. Either way, nose is a little bit more constricted, or some people will like scrunch up their faces. You can't really see me doing that. But if you're lifting, you're like scrunching up your face and you can't breathe as much through your nose, make an active effort to breathe through your mouth. But otherwise, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're getting air in, it's a free-for-all. And if you read anything online that says if you're doing a squat, you have to like breathe out and then suck it back in at the beginning, or like hold your breath during it, that's geared towards like powerlifting athletes that are competing for like competitions and are using like small things to get just a little bit more ahead, and that does not apply to us. Does not apply to us. So we have 2 more exercises left of this circuit, and then we're going to go through it once more and then do some cool down stretches. So what we're going to do is a Russian twist. So what this is, we're going to get in this kind of position. My legs, doesn't really matter where they are, we're going to be taking them off the ground, but I'm just sitting on my butt. What we're going to do is we're going to lift our legs off the ground. You could cross them, you could have them nice and tightened together, but either way you want to extend them a little bit. This is going to start immediately working your core, so I'll try and explain it quickly. You're going to extend a little bit, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your arms and you're going to tap the floor to either side of you. So you're going to twist, tap the floor, twist, tap the floor. Oh, wow, this is harder than I remembered. Wow. And we're going to tap each side 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so if you stop and you go back up, you should feel a little bit of burning right here, and you should also feel a lot more of it on your sides. This is targeting a different range of motion, so moving side to side is something that often doesn't get included in your workouts, but you should, when you're doing an at-home workout, especially for mobility purposes, make sure that you're working every plane of motion, so like front and back, up and down, side to side, and this does that nice side to side motion. So it'll also be strengthening your core. So if you're ever like, grocery shopping or something, and you pick up like a heavy bag of rice or something, you twist to the side to pick it up and go back. If your obliques aren't strong enough and those little muscles that hold everything together aren't really trained well enough and they aren't used to lifting a heavy weight, and you suddenly do something for some reason like shoveling, it'll keep you from putting extra load on your back or from like falling over because you can't grab the shovel and things like that. So that's why this is an important exercise to do. And the last exercise is just a fun one that does the same thing but in a different range of motion. So we're gonna lie all the way flat on the ground. Nice and relaxing, just like let it all loose, be on the floor. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our right leg, this one's waving back here, and we're gonna take it and we're going to pick it up. We're gonna bring it behind us. And we're gonna touch apparently the desk. I was going for the floor, but I did not space that well enough. So we're gonna keep our body as flat to the floor as we can. We're gonna twist back. We're gonna tap our leg to the floor. We're gonna bring it back. I live in a studio apartment and this does not work here. Okay, there's not room for this. We're gonna tap it to each side. These are working the same muscles, but in a different direction. So again, this is just a mobility exercise. We're kind of opening up the hips a little bit, getting our body used to working in a different motion. All right, so we'll do a couple of those and then we'll stop. All right, so that constitutes the actual workout portion. So the reason this isn't a lot of exercises and a lot of them are the same and aren't necessarily too hard is the purpose of this is to give you guys something that you can do every day that's going to target a lot of mobility, a lot of functional movements, things like that. So if you're just waking up and starting a daily routine, you don't have enough time before work to do a full workout, but you want to get something in, you could just do each one of these exercises like 3 times, call it good. Or you could go through that entire list 3 times total, like do 10 of each or something like that, and then go back through and do it again. The more you do, the more of a workout it is. That's why so far we've only had about 20 minutes of this. So we're going to go through the workout again, and this time I'm going to include the exact counts for what I would personally recommend doing it every day. And another thing I wanted to talk about really quickly, just because this is supposed to be very more education oriented. So whenever you're trying to train your body to really do anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're trying to learn a new skill, read a book, learn an instrument, something like that, the biggest part of doing anything is just starting it. So that's the part that is the discipline. So if you want to start working out every day or stretching every day to help your mobility and keep yourself healthy, prevent diabetes, osteoporosis, things like that, just starting and doing one of these every day is going to be better than doing nothing. It doesn't matter if you just do them, even if you're just like fully dressed in work clothes and you kind of forget that you didn't do your exercises, you could just do like 1 tricep dip and that's it. And you could call it a day. But just doing that makes it easier for your body to remember, or not for your body, for your mind to remember to do something every day. And typically once you start doing one thing, your body remembers that since you've started doing it, you want to do more, and the act of starting it was the hardest part, so you're just going to do more of them. I kind of skipped like all of the actual scientific studies because they're on my phone and kind of a little bit small right now. But we're going to go through the rest of this workout. So what this is called is a circuit. So we're going to go through each one of these exercises. So we're going to start with that dead bug again. So we're going to lie back on the ground, and we're going to do 20 of these total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. And then we're going to switch to the bird dog. If you don't want to put that extra weight on your shoulders, or you don't feel stable enough in that position, you can go ahead and just do more dead bugs, or you could skip it. If at any point you feel particularly tired, feel free to just stop and take a rest. The point is to push your body a little bit, but not too hard. This is, again, mostly for mobility, and if we burn ourselves out too much, we could risk hurting our body. So we never want to do that. So we're going to go into this next position, the bird dog. We're going to do the same thing, opposite arms and legs. And we're going to do 20 of them again. So I'm on 4, 5, and while I'm talking, or while I'm doing the exercise, if you're feeling particularly thirsty, like I am right now, you don't always have to drink water during a workout. You should be hydrated beforehand. It's always like a good word of caution. But when you are working out, take sips of water if you do feel a little bit thirsty. But overall, you don't have to worry too much about drinking like a full bottle of water in a workout or anything like that. That's more geared towards athletes if you ever see things like that online. So I have been talking, and I have, in fact, lost count of the exercise. I think we are nearing the end, though, so I'm going to call it. Next up, we're going to do that goblet squat. So this is always going to be the hardest and most energy intensive of all the exercises. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to do 15 of these. If you don't feel like you can do that many, remember, leave like 2 or 3 repetitions in the tank. Take a little breather. So remember, legs not going over our knees. Pretend like there's a bowl of soup on the back, and don't curve your back. Try and keep it nice and flat. So we're going to do 15. Nice and controlled. Notice how my legs are going to 45 degrees, not 45 degrees, parallel to the ground. That's what I meant to say. I am awake. I am here. I definitely slept enough last night. All right. I also lost count again. All right, so after that exercise, the next one we have up is the glute bridge. All right, so I'm going to go back. You can kind of see me. So this is the one where we had about 3 centimeters off the ground. We have our elbows back and placed on the sofa or whatever platform we're using. Try and make sure it's a stable platform. And we're just going to thrust up with our legs, or with our butt, sorry. I'm going to keep one leg up, so that makes it a little harder for me. We're going to do 10 of these. 4, 5. Since I'm keeping a leg up, when I get halfway through at number 5, I'm going to switch legs, switching up my fascia and my muscle so that they don't get too ingrained in one habit. So once I've done 10 of these, I can kind of feel it when I'm getting to the top. If I try and squeeze my butt, I get a little sore and I can't quite hold the position. So that's a good sign. Now we're going to go into that push-up progression. Now remember, do whatever position feels good for you. So if it's just against the wall, do that. If it's against like a countertop, you can do that. Or if you can do one on the floor, whether on your knees or on your feet, go for it. So we're going to do 10 of these. I'm going to make sure that when I'm going into this, I'm keeping my arms about shoulder width apart. I'm keeping my scapula, those muscles right back here. I'm keeping them down and back. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to do 10 of these. I'm making sure that if anything hurts, I stop immediately. All right, and if anyone wants an extra challenge, because I think the floor push-ups are too easy, another progression after this that I had was you could do a T push-up. So you would go down, and then when you come back up, you go into a T position from your arms. If you're not super confident in your ability for your shoulders to hold all of your weight, don't do that, but it's also a good mobility exercise. However, it does take some strength to do. So, word of caution. So now we're gonna move into the tricep dips. We're gonna do 15 of these. Again, you can change how hard it is by moving where your legs are. So I'm gonna make it harder, and I'm gonna put my legs all the way out. I'm gonna pull my scapula down and back. I'm gonna go down, 90-degree angle between my forearms and my upper arms. We're gonna do 20 of these. All right, that was 15. That's fine. It's okay. All right. And if you're doing the set on your own at home, and you do want to add in a little bicep element, you could do a couple curls. You're literally just curling it up. There's no special form considerations you really need. You're probably not going to hurt yourself as long as you're not using aggressively heavy weight. Just make sure you're not swinging if you're doing this. Just keep your arm as the only thing moving. I'm just doing this to kind of balance out the work that my triceps have been doing. And if at any point you need to take a water break, go ahead and take a water break. I've been talking this entire time. So this is more difficult than when I planned it and did it yesterday morning. All right, so 2 more exercises left for this circuit. We're gonna do the Russian twist again. So remember, tap each side 10 times. So get on your butt, put your legs out. If you wanna make this harder, you can try and keep your legs from swaying from side to side, and you can also elongate your body, making the moment arm take more force to counteract the torque that your body is creating. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you have a ridiculously strong core, you can also grab a weight and be holding the weight in your arms. That's gonna make it a lot harder, but we are not doing that because that's not super necessary right now. All right, then the last exercise we're gonna do is that scorpion exercise. We're gonna get face down on the ground, comfy with the floor. We're gonna keep our body flat as we can. We're gonna take our legs, we're gonna try and go back and tap the ground behind us on the opposing side. Try and keep your body as flush with the ground as you can when you're doing this. We're gonna tap each side 5 times. All right, that's good. All right, so if you're doing these every day and you feel like you didn't get enough of a workout in, you can run through that list again. Oh, there have been comments in the chat. Oh, that's Taylor. Go Taylor. Love it. So that is what the exercises are in order and an amount of repetitions. You can always scale it to your difficulty level, so do more or less. And you can also run through that list 2 or 3 times. If you only have time to do like 1 of each exercise, go ahead and do that. But the important thing is to do a little bit every day and get better over time. So now, the biggest and most important part of the workout, I would say, is the stretching. So at the end of a workout, if you do not stretch your body, you're just going to train your muscles kind of tighten up more and more and more. So at the end of a workout, we're going to stretch and help increase our body's mobility. So we're going to start with a Piriformis stretch. So actually, when I wrote these stretches out, what I specifically had in mind is as we age, certain parts of our body don't end up having the same amount of muscle mass and mobility that they did earlier in life. So I have a friend who has hip problems, and we've been kind of figuring out exercises that'll help work and, alleviate some muscle tightness around the sciatic nerve. So a lot of these are going to target a lot of lower back and hip pain. So make sure to do these every day, and especially if you just don't work out at all. Okay, I can talk about time before and after eating in just a second. I can't read that from here. It's okay. I'll talk about that in a second, I promise. So what we're going to do stretching is we're going to start with the Hollywood stretch. This is that nice model pose. I don't know why they call it this, but we're going to take our right leg and we're going to put it over our left leg. We're going to take our left arm. We're going to put it on the other side of our legs. These are opposing sides of our body. And we're going to kind of twist our body around. And if you're having a little bit of a problem with your lower back, trying to get into this position, you can just use your arms and you can kind of push your leg over to the side, but otherwise try and use your back to do so. Hold this for about 10 seconds or so, really just to get a good stretch. It's okay if you want to do it shorter or longer. Then we're going to switch to the other side. So this is my left leg going over my right leg. My right arm is coming over to the other side of my left leg, and I am twisting my body to face the wall again. Whoa. I'm feeling a lot of this stretch in my upper back, a little bit in my lower back, a little bit around my piriformis. Whoa. All right. The next stretch is a little bit of a harder one to get into, but it is hands down the best stretch you can do. It is thus titled the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to get into that lunge position that we were at the beginning of the workout. So we're going to put our left leg out. We're going to take our left arm, and we're going to put it on the inside of our leg. Then we're going to take our right leg, which is behind us, and we're going to stretch it out so we're both on both of our feet. And then I'm going to take my right arm, I'm going to put it next to my left arm, and I'm just going to open up into a T position. I'm going to stretch towards the ceiling with my right arm. I'm going to reach for it. I'm trying to get as much of a stretch as possible. Oh. Then we're going to go back down. Then we're going to do the same thing with the other side of our body. So now my right leg is coming forward. My right arm's on the inside of my leg, standing up on my feet. And then I'm going to stretch up, open up my body towards the ceiling, try and get as open as possible. So what this is doing is it's opening up the hip and it's improving our thoracic stability. So even if you decide not to get a full workout in, do these every day. But if you do these and you also work out, do these after the workout. So the next exercise or stretch we're going to go into is a standing hamstring stretch. So we're just going to stand up nice and straight. We're just going to bend over. My legs are nice and straight. I'm feeling some tension in my hamstrings. I'm going to hold it for a couple seconds. I'm not pushing too far. After about 10 seconds, your muscles can actually push a little bit further. So I'm going to push it just another like centimeter or so from my lower back. Notice how I'm not flexible at all. I can only go about halfway down, but that's okay. We are all at different places. Oh, all right, that stretched out my hamstrings nicely. And now the next one we're going to do, we have just two more. So the figure four stretch. So what the stretch is designed to do, it'll stretch a lot of your leg and hip muscles. So I like to do this one every day. So I'm going to get on my back. I'm going to take my right leg. I'm going to put it at this 90-degree angle. And I'm going to take my left leg and I'm going to crisscross applesauce that on this side. And I'm going to grab my right leg at my kneecap. I'm going to kind of pull it in towards me a little bit. So this is stretching my leg this way. It's hard to kind of tell from a zoom angle, but I'm grabbing it from my kneecap, not from the back of my leg, but my kneecap. I'm kind of pulling my leg in. It's putting a little bit of tension on my left leg. Now I'm going to switch and do the same thing on the other side. Whoa. This side is really tight. Okay. Wow. That's not good. Means I've been playing too much piano today. Good God. All right. And so once I've done that, we have one more stretch. So whenever I'm sitting at a computer, I'm normally nice and hunched over, but oftentimes my shoulders rise up. This also happens a lot for me as a musician. I get really tense. My shoulders come up, kind of impacts my breathing a little bit. So what I like to do is if I'm ever sitting down and I notice I'm nice and tense, I do a neck release and a shoulder squeeze. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my neck, I'm going to kind of push it towards my ear, towards my shoulder. I'm not going to overexert myself or anything. If you ever feel like it might be painful if you're going to do this, stop. I can even push with my hand a little bit to kind of push my neck down more. There are also nice little neck massagers you can buy that will do the same thing. I'm going to switch it to the other side. This is just loosening up my neck because I carry a lot of tension there, and a lot of people end up doing that, especially if they're straining themselves reading over a laptop. The last exercise that you should always do every day is take your arms, put them behind your back, and you know how if we're ever like on a computer, we're hunched over like this. Take your arms, put them behind your back, and we're going to reverse that postural imbalance. We're going to just put them nice and straight, and we're going to try and move them up as far as we can. If you have shoulder mobility problems, this is going to help. But if you have an actual injury or anything, don't do this exercise. It could exacerbate with standing issues. So we're going to take our arms, going to pull them back, pull them back. Whew. You should feel it in your upper shoulders and a little bit in your upper back. Then release, and that is a full workout. And it looks like I scheduled it with another 10 minutes for Q&A. In that time, you could also have done an extra circuit, but I wanted to make absolutely sure that we got those stretches. So Lene asked about time before and after eating. So I also have a nutrition coaching certification, so I'm actually allowed to talk about this. It is within my scope of practice. So generally, if you are going to do a workout in a gym, or it's going to be a particularly intensive workout, as a rule, I always have 2 hours between eating and exercising. And during that time, I also want to make sure that I'm already hydrated. So a problem that a lot of my clients have is they'll eat a healthy meal and then they'll realize they're not hydrated. And so they'll keep on drinking water and water and water leading up to this workout, but then their stomach's full of water, a bunch of blood is pooling in their stomach, and then it feels kind of queasy to work out, or they'll get cramps and things like that. So you just want to make sure you're hydrating throughout the day and stop eating about 2 hours before a workout. So when you get to that 2 hour point before a workout, it's good to have some energy and some carbohydrates in your system so that you have the energy to work out and you're not feeling sluggish or anything like that. So when you eat before a workout, about 2 hours before, typically make sure to get some complex carbs in. If it's a little, I don't have time to explain differences between all different carb types, but 2 hours before a workout, make sure you get some like sugars, oats. If you look at the back of a nutrition label, it'll say how many carbs it has. Try not to eat anything too heavy in fiber because that'll kind of sit in your system a little bit longer than other things will. Same thing with fats. So just like simple carbs like oatmeal, maybe Gatorade, granola bars, raisins, things like that. Does anyone else have any questions? Free for all, go for it. Anything goes.
Great job, Noah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dick.
Noah, what would you suggest for some modifications for some of the ones, like I said, on your hands and knees? Like what could you do if you were sitting in a chair maybe at your office during your work day?
So if you're standing, the only chair in my room is the one that my laptop is resting on. But if you're in a chair in your office in the workday, actually, I can just do this. I can tilt this towards the sofa. So it's a little bit harder to get an actual workout in if you're at your desk in a work day. So I'm assuming we're talking more about stretching.
Yes. Yeah.
So typically what I like to do is if I'm ever writing a research paper or something like that, I'll go ahead and first of all, you can stretch your legs out as far as possible because a lot of times when we're sitting down, we'll have our knees like kind of tucked into our chair a little bit. Something you can do just kind of alleviate some of those issues that we talked about, like the hamstring stretches and things like that. We can just keep our legs out. And when you're sitting at the desk, you can kind of lean forward and this will purposefully stretch out your hamstrings a little bit. So you can go ahead and do that. That'll work out your hamstrings. And then you can bring your legs back. And then at the same time, these muscles right here, they're normally designed for like kind of walking. So they want to go both up and down and not just stay flat all the time. So what you can do is if you're at a desk, you can just kind of roll them up, roll them back, kind of lean back a little bit and kick your heels into the ground and lift your toes up. And just do that a couple times, roll back and forth between those. that's also working the front of my legs. So if I'm walking a lot, that'll keep me from getting shin splints. So I can go ahead, lean over, get a hamstring stretch, roll my legs a little bit. And then what I'll do sometimes is you can kind of just, you remember the Russian twist exercise that we had where we were going back and forth to each side, tapping the ground? This is going to work those same muscles, well, close to the same muscles. You can just kind of lean over to the side and you can kind of feel like you're folding the fat of your sides in, like kind of just crushing it between your sides on each side. And then sometimes what I like to do is I'll grab the back of my chair. I'll just twist my body to face the wall, hold it there for a couple seconds, twist onto the other side, and back. And then again, you can do that same head stretch. You can do the back stretch. That's a very good one. Another one you can do is whenever you're taking a break, you go to sit back down in your chair. I'll roll my arms, or not my arms, my shoulders. I'll roll them down and back, and I'll get them back in that position that you kind of know that we were in for the push-ups, where they're down and pulled back. I'll try and squeeze them down and kind of pull as tight as I can, and then I'll release. And when you release, it should feel like there's a little bit of tension alleviated in your shoulders, as if you were doing a bunch of shrugs like really hard and then you just let go. And when I do that, it kind of helps keep my shoulders from creeping up when I'm typing. And it reminds me to keep them down and back and relax and not develop those postural imbalances.
So thank you everyone for being here. I hope you enjoyed it and have a good evening.
Yeah. Thanks, Noah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Anything
Noah.
that gets us moving is good.
Awesome. We're so glad to hear it.